Let's come back to the Windows Azure. So Windows Azure is mainly a platform as a service cloud. So you can think of Windows Azure as an operating system for the data center. So Windows Azure handles resource management, provisioning, monitoring, and all these things for you and for Microsoft. And then it also can manage the application lifecycle. I mean, it can restart the application. If something goes wrong, it can take it offline and do things like that. So the main idea behind this paradigm is to make sure the developers just concentrate on the business logic. So they can just worry about developing the application. So another thing Windows Azure provides is these building blocks to build distributed applications. So these building blocks include storage services, as well as services like access control, authentication, caching, that kind of things which you can use when you're developing applications for Windows Azure Cloud. So now we'll move a step ahead and have a look at the Windows Azure service model. So in Azure terminology, an application is called a service. So the building blocks of this service is called roles. So you can think of this role as a library or a DLL in your application, and then each of these roles should have at least one VM assigned to them. So Azure has a service level agreement which guarantees 99.95 connectivity if you have at least 2 instances for all the roles you have in the application. Currently Azure supports 3 types of roles. So the first is the web roles. So these web roles provide, I would say, the IIS web server as a service, and supports developing applications using ASP.NET and then deploying them on a managed environment. And then the next type of roles is the worker roles. So this, I would say, as the .NET platform as a service. So whenever you have, so you can deploy any .NET-based application or logic you have into this environment, and then it will take care of it. There are ways you can execute any executable using the worker roles as well, but it becomes much easier if you're using .NET languages, and then you get much more provided by the environment, like taking care of the connections and making sure, giving you information about where your other roles are at, and providing communication channels to communicate between these roles. So everything would be provided. So the third types of roles is the VM roles. So this is similar to, so we had the Amazon presentation earlier. So this is similar to an infrastructure as a service provided by Amazon. So in here, you can upload your virtual machine and then get it up and running. And this is a relatively new service. And then lately, they added the support for Linux instances as well. So similar to the other clouds, these VM roles are stateless as well. So in case something goes down, I mean, so whatever you save in the instance would be gone when you shut down the instance. So yeah, so a role would contain a role name, a role type, and then what kind of VM it's using. So Azure provides several kinds of VMs, small, medium, large, extra large, and one more thing called extra small. And then whatever the code you're going to host, and any other executables, any other libraries, any other dependencies for that. And then the configuration, like how many number of instances you're going to use, and then what kind of storage connections are you going to use, and all this kind of configuration would be packed into this cloud service. We're going to have a little demo at the end, which will show deploying an application to Azure Cloud using Twist of Azure. So in there, we'll see where we pack a role and how we deploy it in the Azure Cloud. So these are the set of instance types currently supported by Azure. So extra small is a shared instance, which can be used for very less compute intensive tasks. So this is similar to the micro instance offered by the Amazon EC2, which we mentioned in the earlier presentation. And then from that point onwards, you have small, medium, large, extra large. So the cost of these instances grows linearly with the capabilities of these instances. Let's move on and have a look at the application building blocks provided by Azure. So these are the set of services that are provided by the Azure platform that you can use while developing your applications. Yeah, so first we're going to have a look at the Windows Azure storage. This, when we call Windows Azure storage, so this supports storing data and other things in a durable fashion. So whatever the things you store in the Windows Azure storage will be replicated 3 times. And then they say this is unlimited, they have the unlimited scalability. I mean, you can store any amount of data as long as you pay, of course. And then whatever the things you store in this storage is highly available. But there are some catches as well. I mean, for example, most of the things you store in the Windows Azure storage would be eventually consistent. So that would be, for example, if you have an application deployed and you have several roles running. So if one role performs an updates to an entity stored in the Windows Azure storage, the other roles will see the update eventually, but Azure does not guarantee that when that role will see that update. So that's called eventual consistency. So there are some catches associated with when using these services. So there are some benefits as well as some trade-offs you have to deal with. So all of these services provide 2 types of APIs. You have a web-based REST API and then a .NET library associated with. So it is much easier if you're developing applications with .NET to use a .NET library. So we have 3 types of storages, like the blob storage, table storage, and the queue storage. So you can, so we had the EC2 presentation earlier. So in there we talked about Amazon S3. So the similar counterpart in Azure is the blob storage. Then in Amazon we have the symbol DB. So the counterpart in Azure is the Azure tables. And then Amazon we have the simple queue service. So in Azure we have Azure queues. So these are more or less provide the same services and the same capabilities. In Azure you have to create your own storage account. And then when you have your storage account, you can create as many blob containers as you need. And each blob container can contain a collection of blobs. And then you have the flexibility to say whether to share the flexibility to share these blobs with others. You can either share it with individually, or you can either make it public. So this can be done in a container level as well as in a single blob level. So another feature supported by Azure is the content delivery network. So you can specify a blob container that's stored in Azure and say, I need to enable content delivery network for this blob container. And then you get a different URL. And then whenever anybody in the world uses that URL, so I'm sorry, I forgot. So Microsoft has data centers all around the world. So anybody uses that URL to access this blob, then that blob will get cached in this edge data center, whatever the data center closest to you. So if there are like hundreds of people accessing the data through the same region, that would be cached geographically nearby to them. So that's a feature offered by the Azure storage. And then there's another concept called Azure drives. So this is similar to the elastic blob storage in Amazon EC2. So with Azure drive, you can mount a blob, that's whatever thing you stored in the blob storage, as an NTFS file system in your Azure instance. So more or less achieves the same thing as same objective as using elastic blob storage. Yeah, so this shows this shows the structure of the Azure blob storage. So you have a count, and the count can have multiple containers, and the container can have blobs, etc.